The 1930s were a time of political and economic turmoil across the globe. The Bolsheviks collectivized farms in the Soviet Union. In India, Gandhi made his famous Salt March. Germany saw the rise of Adolf Hitler. The communists in China fled to the mountains in the Long March led by Mao Zedong, and the United States had arrested Al Capone. Now the Great Depression had wrecked the economies of Europe and the United States. In America especially, its effects were worsened by droughts in its agricultural center, called the Dust Bowl, because so much soil was blown into the air the sun could be blocked out for hours at a time. During the early half of the decade, the southwest plains of the U.S. experienced a series of 4 devastating droughts which came to be known as the Dust Bowl. The term Dust Bowl technically refers to an area including the western third of Kansas, southeastern Colorado, the Oklahoma Panhandle, the northern 2/3 of the Texas Panhandle, and northeastern New Mexico. This previously semi-arid grassland was used for cattle grazing throughout the late 19th century. It was converted to vast fields of wheat after its demand increased during the First World War. A driving factor behind the Dust Bowl was the widespread practice of dry farming. Dry farming is a technique where crops are grown without irrigation in dry environments, with less than 20 inches of annual rainfall. These fields are usually free of weeds and covered in dead vegetable matter. This method is dependent on the soil's ability to retain water. The combination of reduced rainfall and the systematic destruction of the soil left it barren and susceptible to wind erosion. Unable to make a living, farmers abandoned their homes and became migrant workers, with thousands of families fleeing westward. Many fled as far as California. All of these happened at the height of the Great Depression, an international economic crisis lasting from 1929 to 1939. The migration of these families overburdened local efforts to combat the economic crisis, as they competed with locals for what scarce work was available. Any effects of the Dust Bowl were amplified by the Great Depression. This exacerbated poverty and unemployment. By the late 1930s, measures were taken to alleviate the direct effects of the droughts. With federal aid, projects such as planting shelter belts, which were lines of trees that protected the soil and crops from being blown away, were initiated. This was an innovative approach for the era, as federal aid had previously been withheld in favor of individualism and self-reliance. However, this mindset began to change with the onset of the Great Depression in the late 1920s and the election of Franklin Roosevelt. By the early 1940s, rainfall in the region impacted by the droughts had returned to normal. The nation's recovery was accelerated in part due to President Roosevelt's New Deal programs and improved farming techniques. There was another drought in the 1950s, but with the lessons learned in the previous droughts, the impact was lessened significantly. As the world breathed a sigh of relief, the economy recovered from the depression. But there was more turmoil on the horizon.